Hey YouTube, is the turnover today, and okay, so we got little cup, little holiday cup here. It is a 500 CP league, so it's always call it a baby cup. So it's a 500 CP, normal, grass, electric, ice, flying, and ghost. So it's an interesting one where it's not as open as just having every typing, which is kind of good because then in those open ones you get like bronzer and you get what's the other one, shuckle, right? So it's not bad having limited because those two are not in it, and 6 typings is enough that it gives you enough flexibility. So what is good? Well, let's take a look at the rankings and let's talk about number 1 Smeargle with Incinerate and Flying Press, and why I'm not as worried about it. If it's out there, it's gonna suck for you. It's almost like an instant loss, but I've got to imagine that it's not gonna be out there a lot. First of all, you need all the XLs for it, which I don't think people would have. And if you need to like basically elite TM Incinerate and Flying Press on, because Smeargle has like 1,000 moves that it can happen. So between the two, you may see some of them, and it's gonna suck for your team. There's only like 2 Pokemon that beat it. I think it was like Litwick and maybe Marowak, like the fire, yeah, maybe Litwick and Marowak, the fire Pokemon and fire ghost Pokemon that was just resist Incinerate and Flying Press. So, but outside of that, it's going to be pretty much everything else. But we just basically did not build for it. So there's that. So then you have to look at other Pokemon, and it's like, okay, what works? What makes sense in this meta? What doesn't make sense in this meta? Is there like something you look for? So you can always just, the problem with these metas with these typing is like you can first kind of look at like, okay, what beats what here? So it's like, okay, ice beats flying, we know that, and grass will resist electric, and normal typing, I don't see any fighters on this list, but I do see ghost, so normal resist double resist ghost, so maybe normal gets a bump up because of that, right? So you can kind of make those just assumptions, but that's not going to tell you everything you need to know. You're going to kind of have to just either look at the rankings. Again, there's 2 things that set the rankings in these cups: content creator teams and PVPoke. Nice to meet PVPoke at the Toronto Regionals, only briefly there. Okay, so let's just go over the rankings, Pokemon, what's strong and weak about each of these Pokemon. Amora is the number 2 Pokemon on this list, or number 1 if you think that Smeargle is not going to be on this list. Powder Snow Weather Ball is just a very, very spammy combo, and Ancient Power gives you, I mean, you already have Flyer cover, so it's not even so much that, but it'll give you some like there's ice coverage because you are half ice yourself. So Powder Snow Weather Ball, it will be resistant on another ice Pokemon, but Ancient Power, as long as they're not half steel like Sandslash, Ancient Power will hit super effective on all the other ice Pokemon, and that you have Flyers in here too, so kind of double combo there, and it's very, very spammy, so it's kind of there. Marowak, there is ice, which you will hit super effective with Fire Spin, and Bone Club got buffed, and then Shadow Bone is just such a good move anyways. It's really tough to, like, I'm having a hard time. Usually I can go through and be like, oh, this Pokemon's on here because this move set is fantastic and their stat product is like this and stuff like that. But with this set, it's kind of interesting because each of these move sets have their own strength, right? Sandslash, we know how strong Sandslash is in the Open Great League. Powder Snow, Ice Punch, Draw Run, great coverage, pretty spammy. Pika Libre, if you haven't used it, I mean, if you're not a legend, I'm sorry, but if you haven't used it, Thundershock, Flying Press is like a broken move set already, and Thundershock got buffed. So that is going to be a really, really strong Pokemon. I will use that. But then you got like it just, the rest of this list almost looks like something like, just think of the movesets that you see in Open Great League and how strong they are and why they work, and it kind of translates to this league. So Miltank, Licky Licky, Diggersby, your normal and normal ground typings, your rollout users and Licky Licky, and your Body Slam users in Miltank and Licky Licky, and then Diggersby with the Quick Attack, Fire Punch, Scorching Sands. Like, you kind of know how they play in Open Great League. They're gonna be pretty. I think I put 2 out of those 3 on one team. I think the normal typing should have advantage because the fighter, you can't get in as a pure fighter, so something like Primeape is not in here. But I think Annihilate is because Ghost is allowed in. So, but there shouldn't be as many fighting, but that's also where Pika Libre with Flying Press and Smeargle with Flying Press comes in handy. Because there is a lot actually weak to ice in this. Sorry, weak to fighting in this. You got your steels and Sandslash, and you got steels and ice, your ice and wall rain, your normals and diggers being Licky and Miltank. So fighters will rock. Aurora says rock and ice double weak to fighting. So there's a lot of things weak to fighting in here. So if you have something with a fighting type move, you probably have already a big advantage, and that's why Pika Libre will be everywhere. Aurora is just the adult version of Amora, so same idea. Meteor Beam just takes longer to get to. And in these meta, if you haven't played this meta before, so I know I'm talking a lot on these rankings. If you haven't played Little Cups before, basically outliers of Smeargle and those bulky XL Pokemon, basically every move is going to do 50%. So like, I'm sure Sandslash Ice Punch and Miltank Body Slam and maybe even Joltix like Cross Poison or Discharge is going to do like 50% damage on your opponent's Pokemon. These matchups go pretty quick because all these Pokemon are relatively spammy, right? You have like fast charging rollouts, decent charging and fast hard hitting sucker punches, quick attack, which has got decent, powder snow, which is a quick one, Volt Switch, which gives you energy, Thunder Shock, which is just a fast charging move, right? So these little cups are basically like spam city. You just have little baby Pokemon spamming their moves at each other, doing 50% damage. And that's basically the lookup. And that's why all these Pokemon are on this list, right? On this list, we have basically fast moves. If you look down this list, there's no Charmers. Like Wigglytuff is in here. But there's no like slower charging, super slow charging moves on this list. They're generally all fast-ish. Not super fast. Like Fire Spin's not amazing, but it's not bad. But pretty fast charging moves to go with pretty spammy first moves, right? Bone Club, Ice Punch, Flying Press, Body Slam, Cross Poison, Swift, Weather Ball, Icicle Spear, Thunder Punch, the Wild Charge Flyer, but then not bad with the Thunder Shock, right? Because that charge is super fast. So basically you got fast charging fast moves, quick first moves, maybe some second moves can nuke, but not even. Like Meteor Beam on Aurora, so probably nuke some stuff, but for the most part, you're probably not nuking anything either. So that's just basically how this is going to play out. I mean, the matchups go fast though, right? Because you're getting to everything in like 10, 12 or less and just kind of spamming it nonstop, as opposed to like the Open Great League where you can get some like Toxapex and Azumarill throwing at like 6, 15 and 18 and stuff like that. So it takes a while to get to the moves. But in here, it's just like spam, spam, spam. So start with the top Pokemon and look at what Amora and Marowak do. Amora, Rock and Ice, going to be weak to Fighter. So, and also going to be weak to a couple things like Ground and stuff like that. Rock, it's got a lot of weaknesses, that dual typing. So the main weaknesses on this list are Sandslash and Pika Libre, because Pika Libre has that Flying Press, and then Annihilate as a fighter, and then Marowak will kind of deal with all those being half Ghost, and also Fire. So we just kind of covered each other's weaknesses very, very well. So top Pokemon cover each other's weaknesses as well. So then I was looking at like, okay, what else can it potentially do? And then I was looking at potential state swaps and Pokemon, and one that came up was Jigglypuff. And there's a couple Pokemon in the previous Little Cups that were very, very safe, and Jigglypuff was one of them. And as you can see, no hard losses on the right hand side. So it just seems like a very, very safe Pokemon to use as a potential state swap. So you may see a decent amount of those. This one I started, again, I was like, okay, Sandslash, I know you're generally strong. What's your strengths? What's your weaknesses? Well, the weaknesses are there's a bunch of fire in this meta. So how do you deal with the fire? You put in a ground. You put in a ground in Golett. And then, like I said, there's not many Pokemon with fighting types moves or fighters. There is an Annihilate on this list. And there's Pikachu or Pika Libre that has the flying press, and then Smeargle if it has flying press, so be it. But basically try and draw out one of those Pokemon with Licky Licky, and then Golett can kind of combo the front end of it. And then Sandslash rounds free. Or you can just kind of roll the dice. You don't even need to switch. You can just kind of roll the dice if you really want. You can lead Sandslash, and if you see a fire, you can just come Licky Licky. Or if you see a fighter, maybe come straight Golett or come Licky Licky. But again, there's not a ton of those, so it's not like this is one of the leagues with limited Pokemon that the type of teams that you use, the amount of Pokemon that you need to cover is not as vast, so the amount of teams you can use can make a little less sense, or you can like not less sense, but like you can roll the dice more about like, okay, in Open Great League, I know I need to watch out for Primeape and Annihilape, and Pangoro maybe. But in here, it's just like, okay, I know there's Annihilape, and I know some legends will have Pika Libre. There are probably not a lot of Smeargles. I don't really need to worry about fighting too much. I can probably get away with a double weakness like this. So those are the calculations that you can make in these limited cups that you can't make as much in Open Great League. But speaking about Pika Libre, yes, it was already a broken Pokemon before, because that Flying Press, it's a very glossy Pokemon if you've never used it. It is a very, very, like, I said that not a lot of moves will one-shot. Flying Press is going to one-shot a lot of Pokemon. Flying Press is such a hard-hitting move. And more so when that Flying Press is hitting super effective against all these rock and ice and normal type Pokemon. Look at those big X's. That means that you are going to absolutely destroy those Pokemon. And then with it, you have a buffed Thunder Shock. So that makes you very, very deadly. So not even a ton of losses. Some of them, they recommend Fletchling. So Fletchling I've seen a couple of them in the past. Kind of a funnish Pokemon to use. But if you're going to use Fletchling and Pika Libre, you're going to be pretty glassy, why I put in, I don't know how bulky a 500 CP Diggersby is, but it's a pretty bulky Pokemon in general. So I put that in basically just to try and get some bulk on the team, because it was definitely missing some bulk. So this is one where I actually started to try to deal with Smeargle. So I started with one of the two top answers for it, Litwick. Litwick's going to have some problems with like rock and ground and stuff like that. So I put in Annihilape, which also works with against Smeargle. So you have like a couple answers for Smeargle, plus some that can combo the rest of it. And then I needed like a third just to now try to cover some weaknesses against your fire type Pokemon in particular. Potentially some like other ground type Pokemon. So I used Gliscor as a flying ground Pokemon, buffed fast move to now kind of deal with that. Could be an okay safe swap. The only problem is there is a lot of ice is one of the main things, and there is a lot of ice. So you could, I think Annihilate would be a safer safe swap in my opinion. So I'd probably use that. And I think the last thing I put out was just a triple normal team, because again, you can kind of get away with this to a certain extent. Yes, look at those double. Smeargle, Pika Libre, and Annihilape will have fighting type moves or be a fighter. But that is where I got the Wiggly as a charmer to kind of just out-shield if you need to. Out-shield and out-charm. And then their odds are you're not going to see 2-3 fighter type Pokemon on one team, that this team can probably get away as a safe team against most others. So if you're ever, this is just kind of like a kind of trick for team building and limited cups, and I've done this multiple times and it's been so successful every single time, so it's definitely a cheat code. If normal typing is one of the typings of a limited meta and fighting is not one of the listed ones, run a triple normal team. Normal only has one weakness, fighting. So if there's no fighting type as the main one, there's only two ways you're going to get hit with a fighter. One is if they get in with their second typing. So Annihilape gets in as a ghost Pokemon, right? It doesn't get in as a fighter, it gets in as a ghost, which is why you still don't have Primeape and other fighters. So you'll have limited fighters there. And then two is other Pokemon that have fighting type moves. So Pika Libre and Smeargle have flying press. But these ones are like, again, very XL dominated Smeargle that needs to have these moves out of 1,000 moves it can get, or you need a Pika Libre you need to be legend to have a Pika Libre. So those are the types of like, just kind of like statistical guesses you can make of like, okay, I can probably get away with this team. And that's why. So triple normals usually do very well when it comes to these limited metas. Anyways, that is it. This afternoon, we're going to actually look at, I don't want to just make it, I refuse just to make it like a rant, but we're going to look at the state of the game, because I woke up and not even woke up. I looked at some of the numbers on my videos and they are just plummeting. The views are down, the click rate down. And I'm just like, is this seasonal? Is this going on? Is this affecting just my channel? Is it other GBLers? Is it other Pokemon Go YouTubers? And so it looked like, I'm like, other GBLers are suffering, but not all of them. Some are doing like really, really well. And then Poke Daxi, I looked at his videos, and his top tips and tricks videos used to get like 120K. And now the last two got like 60K and like 40 or 30K, which are like peanuts for him. So the state of the game is obviously bad. And then like Trainer Tips put out a video being like, I'm sick of the things, and these events are not, they're repeats and stuff like that. Anyways, if you want to look at that discussion video this afternoon, because Master League is is this a Master League, right? So no one's gonna play Master League. Not no one. 90% of people will not play Master League. So yeah, if you want to come for that discussion video this afternoon. If not, we'll be showcasing some teams for this cup, but with Christmas around the corner and this cup, send me some videos, please. I'm going to need videos for this. It seems like there's a lot of Pokemon you can use. So yeah, please send me some videos. I would love to showcase all your videos this week, even if people are not watching as much. Anyways, that is it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.